Jardines de la Reina, Gardens of the Queen, named by Christopher Columbus for Queen Isabella. Duncan and I traveled from Miami to Havana, and then spent 2 hours Thursday, Friday hanging out in Havana. Saturday we drove down almost halfway across the island for 6 hours to Jucaro, a port where we got on our dive boat, the Avalon 3, and sailed out to the archipelago for the rest of the week for 3 dives a day. But Thursday we weren't going to waste any time. We headed right out into the streets of Havana, grabbing meals where we could. Nearly all the restaurants had some form of entertainment. Some of that entertainment was pretty good. It was all pretty good. Some of it was, One of the last places was this little bar celebrating Che Guevara and Charlie Chaplin, believe it or not, on the other wall, our friend Juan. The next day we said enough of that, and we found ourselves an amazing tour guide who took us around. We said we wanted a classic car ride. He asked us what kind. Duncan picked a 57 Thunderbird. He made a phone call and here it appeared. So we toured around looking at the architecture from several periods, the brutalist socialist architecture, the many different times from periods going back to the colonial times. It's all right there. Such a rich history. The arts were everywhere too. Street painting, statues, the music, as I said, poetry, art museums. It's all right there, surrounding you in old Havana. But what I really enjoyed was watching and engaging with the Cuban people wherever I could. They can do with what they can. They have so little. They celebrate the time when the embargo was lifted for 2 years. Look forward to its return. The bartender told us at one point, Cubans are happy on the outside, but sad on the inside. Well, they were all happy and very kind to us everywhere we went. We finally arrived at Jucaro, headed out to our boat for the journey out to the archipelago. After some meetings and some equipment checks, we were ready the next morning for our trips on the 3 different dive tenders out to the reefs for 3 dives a day. The dive masters and staff were fabulous, knowledgeable. Here's my friend Duncan, my dive buddy. Now the pictures you're about to see, all the great fish pictures, were not taken by me. I don't claim to them. A gentleman named Frank at wetlands.com, who was an expert photographer and fish identifier, shared these with me to go ahead and use. These fish are all different sizes. Some of them are very tiny. Some of them are big. From an inch or even smaller. Some are what you would call fish-sized, foot, 18 inches. The small ones you have to look really closely for, and then some get really big, several feet. This Goliath grouper was bigger than me, like a giant Labrador retriever. Caribbean reef sharks were everywhere, swimming right by us so gracefully. What a week. I was worn out. REEF stands for the Reef Environmental Educators Foundation. This group that we've traveled with, I've been out with them several times doing citizen science fish counts. They've been around since the 1990s, and their work is very, very important, and it's used professionally in environmental marine science around the world. Thanks to the crew, thanks to my friends. Thanks to Frank for sharing his photos.